So apparently people think that shipping our old clothes to space is a possible solution. We also may end up buying clothes based on pictures that don't exist. And on the flip side, Scotland is honoring its witches. These are some of the fashion news that I've been reading for the last few days, as unhinged as they sound, but I thought you might like to know, so I'm bringing them here so that we can discuss together. So a couple weeks ago, Vestiaire Collective, which is a second-hand marketplace, announced that they were partnering with a company called Space Waste for a groundbreaking initiative that consisted in shipping our old clothes to space. And they announced that with an Instagram post that got a lot of reactions. What is your reaction? Do you think that this is possible? I will give you 3 seconds to think about that. Well, if you thought that it can be real, you are correct. That was Vestiaire Collective's April Fool's joke. But the remarkable thing is that a lot of people did take that seriously. And it's not as crazy as we may think. In fact, if the initiative hadn't come from Vestiaire Collective and instead it was announced as the latest venture of a certain billionaire, I think I would have believed it too. And the funny thing is that in that case, it probably would have been true. So besides proving that we are living in the darkest timeline, I think that this announcement and especially the people's reaction to it are very interesting because it directly links with that throwing away phrase that we talked about when I made the video about Netflix Buy Now documentary. One of the things that I liked the most about that documentary was that it highlighted the real meaning of away, of throwing away, because we tend to think that when we throw things away, they disappear, that away is a magical place that eats up everything that we throw at it, when in reality we saw in the documentary that away is a very real place and it can be found in places like Ghana that are absolutely flooded with our shit and they cannot cope anymore. So that's why I think that the option of shipping clothes to space felt real to a lot of people because it sounds like something that a fast fashion brand or a billionaire could come up with. It's actually not that far from all those recycling programs that a lot of fast fashion brands like H&M and Zara have, in which they promise that if you bring your clothes to the store, they will recycle them, but they don't actually tell you what that means. But when you bring your clothes, you get some store credit so that you can keep on shopping with a cleaner conscience. So for those kind of brands, shipping the clothes to Ghana or shipping them to the moon makes no real difference. But at least the people who believe that that campaign was true, at least most of them, were not very happy about the solution of shipping our clothes to space. So there is hope. We live in a time where we cannot distinguish between a fake crazy idea and a real crazy idea because apparently we have lost all our grip on reality, but at least our hearts seem to be in the right place. And speaking about not distinguishing between the fake and the real, let's talk about H&M and their revolutionary AI models. I didn't want to talk more about AI. I already have several videos talking about AI, and I thought I didn't have anything new to say. But then H&M comes and announced this, and for me it's like candy. I can't resist. So, H&M said that they are creating digital twins of real models. And at this point, that's hardly groundbreaking. They are not the first one to be using AI imagery to advertise clothes. As I said, we are living in the darkest timeline. But the groundbreaking part is that they say that they have created these AI twins in collaboration with the real models. So when they hire the AI model, the real one will get compensated. And to announce this, they have highlighted some quotes from the models like, oh, it's like me, but without the jet lag and things like that. And all of that is explained on a quite long article in Business of Fashion, where they also include some quotes from an H&M representative. I think it's like the chief creative something in which they say that everyone is very happy because at least even though they are using AI, the models are getting compensated. And the photographers, the makeup artists, the stylists, the art directors, all those people who are involved in a photo shoot, well, they can go fuck themselves because nobody's talking about compensating them. Because creating a photo shoot, it's a collaborative effort, and those high-profile models that H&M have chosen for this campaign, they have achieved that status thanks to the photographers that know how to direct them, to the lighting technicians that know how to illuminate them, and the makeup artists that have created striking looks for them. So these models, who are the visible part of all that work and the ones that benefit the most from it, them agreeing to have their image used for AI photoshoots that are eliminating the jobs of all those professionals. It's so selfish, like it shows such a lack of solidarity towards their creative colleagues. And I find that incredibly disgusting. If people who work in the same industry that have probably been working together for years can stick together and defend our rights collectively, it shows that we are living in the darkest timeline. And the person who spoke to Business of Fashion, this chief creative officer from H&M, he admitted that they had no idea about the repercussions that these AI photoshoots are going to have in the industry, but that they are going to try it anyways. And there is actually a very interesting article on the Interline talking specifically about those consequences, about the loss of essential skills that AI is bringing, and how it's going to be pretty much impossible for new talents to break into this industry. So I will leave the link below and I recommend you to check it out. And all of this is on top of the main issue that is a brand selling products with pictures that aren't real. H&M says that they will clearly label these AI images on their website, but can we really believe that when there are other brands that are also using AI-generated images and are not labeling them? Actually, I made a video several months ago about Mango and their AI-generated campaign that they created for their line targeted to teenagers. And in that case, they didn't label the images on the website. I went to the website and there was no mention of those images being AI-generated. So people were making purchasing decisions over images that weren't real, and they didn't even know that they weren't real. So how is that making the fashion industry better? Who woke up one morning and asked to see fake images of their clothes? Everyone now in fashion is talking about AI and how it's revolutionizing this and that, and how it's making the processes faster so that brands can create more clothes. And apparently that's good for everyone, but the speed of producing clothes has never been a problem, except maybe for the CEOs of the companies. We as consumers are already overflowing with clothes. We are not asking for more. What we were asking for a couple years ago, at least, before this whole AI thing started, was transparency, was sustainability, and was fair labor practices. But apparently improving the ways that a garment worker is treated in Bangladesh, it doesn't bring enough profits to the company. So the brands are doing whatever they can to make us forget about that. They are all like, oh, look at this thing that we have made with AI. I'm sure you have a lot of opinions about that. So go and discuss and forget that we are exploiting people and destroying the planet. Anyways, I'm not going to talk more about AI. I have said enough on other videos. And if you have watched them, you already know my stance about AI. And if you haven't, I think I can sum up my whole opinion about this by saying that every time I see someone asking ChatGPT some essential questions like what is the weather going to be like tomorrow, it makes me want to puke, ideally to their face. Let's talk about some good news, because the witches of Scotland are getting their own official tartan. This is my favorite thing that I have read this month. So, two lovely Scottish ladies, one of them is a human rights advocate and the other is a writer. They have created the Witches of Scotland campaign to commission a memorial tartan to commemorate all the women that were accused of witchcraft and murdered in Scotland. The tartan is now officially recognized in the Scottish record of tartans. And not only is it absolutely beautiful, but also it's been designed in a super thoughtful way so that it includes a lot of hidden references and meanings about the whole Witches of Scotland thing. So I'm going to read the description that they included on the design. This design was created to memorialize those who suffered as a result of the Witchcraft Act between 1563 to 1736 in Scotland. This tartan will be woven to make products to help create a living memorial. The black and grey colors are intended to represent both the dark times of this period and the ashes of those born. It also incorporates red and pink colors, symbolic of the legal tapes used to bind papers both during that time and now. The thread count of this design incorporates the year 1563 and 1736, represented as single entries. These are shown in black and grey, surrounding a white check of 3 threads. These threads represent the core objectives of the campaign, which are to ensure a pardon, an apology, and memorials are achieved. The large black section of 173 threads is intended to represent the 173 years of darkness, and red and pink sections are repeated 3 times for the 3 prime objectives of the Witches of Scotland campaign. I think it's a great example of how fashion can be a form of self-expression and also be charged with a lot of meanings and symbolism. And in this case, I love how it's been used as a beautiful way of honoring the memory of all those people who suffered through all of those dark periods of history. I'm going to buy some of that tartan the second it's available. It's not available yet. They have announced that they will make it available to buy by the meter, but they don't know the price, they don't know how limited the quantities will be. So I will keep you posted because I'm already thinking about all the amazing things I'm going to make with that tartan. So yeah, not everything are bad news. We may be living in the darkest timeline, but at least we have the coolest tartan to wear. Let me know what you thought of this news episode. I will be making some of these in the future probably because I normally read a lot of random pieces of news that I thought are interesting to discuss with other people. So I would love to discuss them with you here. So let me know in the comments what was your favorite piece of news, whether you believed in the Clothes to Space campaign, what are your thoughts about H&M and their AI models. And I'm not going to ask you about whether you are going to buy the tartan or not, because obviously the answer to that question is yes. So have a great rest of your day and see you soon in the next video.